Hey everyone, it's Christina and welcome back to my channel. If you have made it to video number 2, thank you so much. I'm so excited you came back. The goal of this channel is really to show you how divorce healing is possible and how you really can live a life that you're excited about. A really big obstacle, at least for me and my healing journey, has been anxiety. Anxiety, by definition, is an emotion that typically relates to the future. It relates to things that we're worried about, that we haven't really come to terms with yet, and it typically develops within someone who has gone through a traumatic event, such as an accident, a divorce, a life change, just something really astronomical where our emotional system is just not capable of processing it right away. Nobody talked about anxiety back when I was 25. So in my 20s, I would go out drinking, and then the next day, almost every single time, I would just feel like I was having these crazy heart palpitations. At least that's what I thought it was. And so I had to take really deep breaths to bring my body back to a homeostasis. But even then, it just would not stop. And so I went to the doctor one time and I was asking her, what's wrong with my heart? I'm having heart palpitations. I think I actually told her I thought that I was having heart palpitations. And she told me there was nothing wrong, to just go home and relax, and I'm probably just stressed out. Fast forward about 10 years. I'm divorced, I'm down in LA, and almost in every social setting, I would notice that same feeling of heart palpitations. So I'm not drinking anymore, and I can't understand why I'm still having these heart palpitations. I started thinking to myself, well, I wonder if I have anxiety maybe. And this was before I started doing CBT. Once I started doing CBT and talking to my therapist about it, we realized that I probably suffered from some social anxiety, which was never a thought that came across my mind. I always thought that I was a really social person and I loved being around people, but I sooner found out that I was so social because I always had a drink in my hand. I was using alcohol as a way to be social and to be extroverted when really I am a hardcore introvert. Like you ask, most people would probably disagree with me when I say this, but I'm a hardcore introvert. I'm extroverted in my work because I do sales and then I do this, and I'm extroverted in my cycle classes, but when it's just me, I'm at home with Enzo and I'm just not doing anything. But it took a lot of therapy for me to really understand that this anxiety that I had within me was created because I was trying to be someone who I wasn't. Growing up, I was always pushed into the limelight. I was the eldest, I was the firstborn in the United States, and there was always a lot of attention on me. And I think at the time, I just learned to love it because I felt loved by everyone that was giving me attention, so I took it. And then as I started getting older, I was like, I don't really like this attention anymore. It's just like stressing me out, right? And now, as a 36-year-old, after having gone through everything that I've gone through, now I can confidently tell you that I am a hardcore introvert, and I am so happy being a hardcore introvert. What got me here was a lot of honesty with myself and who I am, and learning not to judge myself. In social settings, when I would have this social anxiety, I would feel so stupid for not talking. I would feel like, oh my God, everyone here probably thinks that I'm so dumb because I have nothing to contribute to the conversation. And then through therapy, I started realizing that, wow, it's not anyone thinking anything about me. Nobody cares what I'm doing, and all they care about is that I'm here. The only person that thinks that I'm stupid is me. And I honestly think a lot of dealing with anxiety is just giving yourself grace. It sucks to be anxious. It sucks when you leave your house and you just want to run back inside because you feel totally unworthy, you feel shameful, and you just don't want to be around anyone. I totally get it. So an exercise that we do in CBT is actually exposure to the trigger. So if there's something that makes you anxious, in small doses, my therapist actually coached me through putting myself in social scenarios, because what could happen when certain things make you anxious is that you'll avoid them. And in all the studying that I did, they brought up all these examples of people that just would not leave their house because they couldn't stand social anxiety, or they really hated giving presentations. So they did everything they could to avoid giving the presentation. So we have to deal with what we're afraid of. We have to deal with the anxiety, and it's not comfortable at all. I have friends that have tried different types of anxiety medications. And so that is available if you wanted to get that through a psychiatrist. But for me, I never wanted to be on any kind of medication like that if I could help it. So I really tried as hard as I could through CBT and through all the different types of therapy that I've tried to really make sure that I could get myself on track. And I guess where am I at now is I really feel like I have such a handle on my emotions. And so the way we break it down in CBT is your emotions are broken down into 3 areas. So the way we think, the way we feel, and then our behavior. So it's broken down into those 3 areas. And so in CBT, you spend a whole couple weeks just in each area. So first we really sit and we analyze our thoughts. Like, what are we thinking? How are we thinking about ourselves? What are we saying to ourselves that are influencing the physical reactions that we have? Because once we have physical reactions, it's really hard to slow down that process of how we're going to react or our behavior, right? So once we really understand our thoughts, how we're thinking about things, then it's a snowball effect. Then we can tackle the physical. Well, once you have a physiological reaction to something, it's really hard to change that. You can't really help how your body reacts. But you can control how you behave. So how the external world sees your reactions. That's the area that we want to control, because that's ultimately what could be hindering us from living happier, healthy lives with others. You know, when we're so traumatized by our relationships we've had with others from the past, we change, you know, we just change. And sometimes if we put in the work, like what we're doing right now, we can change for the better because we understand ourselves a lot better. We understand our actions, why we're doing them, and we understand how to do them better, versus life happens and we allow it to change us and then we don't do anything about it. That's why journaling is really, really important. I love pulling out my journal and just writing whatever comes to mind. So if you're someone who's not that familiar with that practice of journaling, just write anything that comes to mind. It could be your day, what you had for lunch, what you did after work. You could write about literally anything. Just get into that practice of putting pen to paper and taking out what's in your head and actually putting that into a physical form. It does take some practice and it does take some time, especially to make it into a habit where you're doing it every single day. But tell yourself that you're going to write 1 page. Start with just 1 page, 1 sentence, and you'll be amazed how it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And this is the best way to really start to get to know your thoughts. Journaling really transformed for me, because when I was going through my divorce and even growing up, I would always write about relationships. I would write about how so-and-so hurt my feelings, or he broke up with me and he did this or she did this. When I write now, I write about the future and I write about the things that I want to accomplish in the future. And I never, ever wrote about things like that before. So I write about what I want to do for my work, the kind of house I want to live in. I feel like I'm actually using my journal now to manifest the things that I want and the life that I want to continue to create for myself. And so our thoughts are extremely powerful. And even when you put it down on paper, it's even more powerful because you're bringing that into reality. When you can learn how to slow your process down, where you're able to think, where your prefrontal cortex, the front of your brain, is able to recognize a situation and recognize that, hey, I'm actually not in any danger right now. This is not a bear in front of me. This is just my toxic ex. It's just my toxic ex. It's okay. You will then start to learn the power of changing the way your brain works. Now, you got to remember, I've done a lot of therapy. And I can honestly and confidently tell you it worked. It really did, because there was definitely many times in my life where if someone was coming at me with anger, I would yell back, I would cuss back, like I was just in so much pain. I thought that everyone was there to attack me. I thought everyone was a bear, and my brain wasn't able to recognize that this is not a actual physical threat. Like, this is just somebody that is just in my space. I've gone from thinking in a fight or flight sense to more of an executive functioning, understand that I'm not a bad person. Other things that have helped me with handling my anxiety have been fitness. I love doing sound meditations. I go about once a week and I just relax into this meditative state for about an hour. And it's the most amazing way to just cleanse your mind and neutralize your body and just channel in some new energy. Getting my cat Enzo definitely helped with my anxiety because it gave me an opportunity to think and to really care about someone other than myself. And it helped take me out of my ego, where all I'm thinking about is me, and how this hurt me, and oh my God, poor me, I'm in such a horrible situation. And it made me start to realize that, hey, like I've got to take care of this other living, breathing thing, and life does not just revolve around me. So if you're someone who got divorced and you have kids, then I can totally relate in some way. I mean, he's a fur baby, not an actual baby, but I can understand that, it's harder to only think about yourself all the time when there's someone there who's really depending on you. What I highly recommend doing is just tossing everything away in your wardrobe that reminds you of your ex, or maybe you spent a lot of time with your ex in one certain outfit. When you wear new things, you put new things on your body, you're surrounded by a new environment, it just makes you want to live a new life, and you don't dwell in the past so much anymore. It took me a while to really throw away everything that reminded me of my ex. When you do things like that, it makes it so real. Like there's no going back, and everybody moves at a different pace. And I think that's another thing that really helped me with my anxiety, was just respecting it for what it was and for where I was, and just understanding that that's what it was, if that makes sense. So I like to bake, I love to cook, and maybe we'll do like a cooking segment on here sometime. And this was a skill that I didn't know that I had, or an interest that I didn't know I had, until a few years ago during the pandemic. I just started baking along with everybody else. But I started baking healthy treats. I love things that are healthy, that don't have a lot of refined sugar. So I usually use maple syrup or coconut sugar when I cook desserts. Sometimes I make the real thing, like if it's Christmas cookies, then they have to be the real thing. But I love experimenting with different healthy treats because I have such a sweet tooth. I need to have some sort of a treat in my fridge at all times. I think I have like a chocolate banana bread right now. And so we might do a little baking session. Let me know if you guys want me to do that. Maybe for Valentine's Day. I was thinking I kind of want to make these like heart-shaped Valentine's Day cookies. So maybe we'll film that and I can actually show you guys how to make them. Never thought that I was a baker, ever. I am not a fucking chemist. I can't do this exact measurements and all that. But I love to eat baked goods, and that's what got me curious about actually baking my own. So it has been so fun, like going through this healing journey. Of course, it sucks. It sucks balls in the beginning. But once you start kind of moving through it and you start clearing the path of the people that didn't support you, and you clear the path of just, you got to clear all the obstacles out of the way first. I definitely empathize, and I definitely agree with that. You got to clear all the obstacles. You got to figure out like your new living situation. You got to figure out like, well, who are my real friends and who are the ones that I need to like kick to the curb? That you're going to have to do like an inventory of everything. Your entire life, you have to do an inventory. I mean, it's like a really like ugly and beautiful process. And I tell people all the time that have either been divorced or maybe they're considering getting divorced, it's an opportunity that not everyone gets to have, obviously. I mean, obviously I don't wish that upon anybody, and no one should ever want to get divorced, but sometimes it's just the cards that you're dealt. But it's such a unique opportunity in that you can evolve. You can, if you choose to play your cards that way. It's like in the Barbie movie where she offers her the high heel where she can go back to life as she knows it, or she gives her the Birkenstock where you can find out the truth about the universe. And so I think we all need to opt for the Birkenstock and choose the truth. The truth isn't always the happiest place to be, and it's not always the most comfortable place to be. But when we can find out the truth, that's how we're able to evolve and become the people that we came on this planet to be. Thanks to YouTube and social media, there is tons and tons and tons of support. And I'm so excited that I have this platform to now be on here with you and talk with you about issues that plague our culture. It's plagued our culture for so many years. I mean, I just can't believe that there are still so many people in our culture that still choose to stay married and still choose tradition over their own happiness. I mean, it still happens. I think it is going to happen a lot less as the world continues to evolve and as women continue to stand up for themselves and not take shit, and men too. Like, as long as we continue to stand up for ourselves, that's only going to improve the quality of our culture. you know, it's only going to improve and it's only going to make people happier in the long run. And we just got to keep fighting and we got to keep standing up for what's right, even though what's right might not always be what's easy. Dumbledore. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Super personal for me. It's something that I have struggled with for many years, and I'm so glad that I was able to figure out a way to get through it. I know that you can too. You just have to give yourself the opportunity. You need to get the help that you need, do the research that you need. You're gonna have to do the homework that you need to do, but I promise you, you will move through it. It is just temporary, and you are going to see that you are so amazing on the other side of it. You're amazing now, but you're gonna see how even more amazing you are once you're able to conquer this. You can do anything that you wanna do. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you next time.